church in Toronto. A controversial event because the wedding involved 2 men and 2 women joined together as same-sex couples. Raj Ahluwalia has been following this story about love and the law.
Police on horseback. A handful of protesters. And media from across North America. All here for a double wedding billed as historic and unprecedented. 2 same-sex couples, Kevin Bourassa and Joe Varnell, Elaine and Anne Vautour, going through a church ceremony which they believe will legally marry them.
Elaine, I take you to be my lawfully wedded spouse.
I publish the banns of marriage.
The couple used an ancient Christian tradition, the publication of what are called banns, announcements of 2 people's intent to marry. The law says if the banns are read 3 times in a church, as they were over the past month,
Throughout our lives together.
A wedding is considered legal.
I hereby declare them to be lawfully married.
The question now, will the Ontario government recognize the marriages? All signs suggest no, in part because federal law defines marriage as being between a man and a woman.
This is equal rights and social justice for all people in Canada.
And we're waiting for our government to do the right thing.
Do it, or else, warns the minister who performed today's ceremony.
If it's not registered, then we'll go to court. The church will take the province of Ontario to court.
Good luck, say Richard North and Chris Vogel. 27 years ago, they exchanged vows in a church, but a Manitoba court rejected their attempt to register the marriage.
We weren't successful because the judge decided that most people didn't accept this.
Again,
this law professor says times have changed. Over the past 20 years, courts have awarded same-sex couples almost all the rights heterosexual couples enjoy, and they'll likely win this one.
This is really a fight that is primarily symbolic. It's about marriage as an important institution in society.
That fight, though, is for another day. Today, these people just want to enjoy, indeed celebrate, this moment. Raj Ahluwalia, CBC News, Toronto.
Ex-couples were married in what they hope will be the first legal ceremony of its kind in Canada.
Hereby declare them to be lawfully married, joined together spouse to spouse, partners in life, in the name of the Creator, and with Christ and the Holy Spirit.
While the church was packed with supporters, outside there was a small group that saw the wedding as the work of the devil. The demonstration was kept outside and there was no disruption of the service. The 2 men and 2 women who were married believe they have found a loophole in Ontario's Marriage Act, an old church ritual known as the reading of banns. Technically, the partners have received approval for their union and can be issued a marriage license. However, the Ontario government, citing federal laws that prohibit same-sex marriages, say it will not recognize the nuptials.
But as Marilla Fernandez explains, the newlyweds have also embarked on a legal journey to have their marriages recognized by the province.
That you want to be joined in marriage, and no one has shown any valid reason why you may not. And repeat after me. Elaine. Anne, I take you to be my lawfully wedded spouse.
Anne, I take you to be my lawfully wedded spouse.
By virtue of the power vested in me by the Ontario Marriage Act, I hereby declare them to be lawfully married, joined together spouse to spouse, partners in life.
With the exchange of vows, Elaine Vautour and Anne Vautour, Kevin Bourassa and Joe Varnell were married, coming to the end of one very long and bumpy road and setting foot onto another. The couples were married according to an ancient Christian tradition called the publication of the banns. Their intent to marry is read out 3 times in church. If there is no legal objection, a wedding can proceed in front of God, family and friends, and on this day, protesters and the media. As a couple, why did you choose to go this route?
Because we believe in equal rights for all humanity. I would like to see other couples be able to make that choice as to whether or not they want to get married without cameras other than the ones that they invite to the wedding.
think it's outrageous in our country that a church should have to go to this extent just to be able to worship, just to be able to bless a couple's relationship. There's going to be a lot of work yet, you know, to get these fully recognized, and so the ambiguity that the government are causing by waffling on these issues is taken care of.
We just call upon them to do the right thing, and now I want to, you know, go home and spend the rest of my life with the person I joined my life to today.
This fight for rights now leaves the church and is headed towards the courts. On Tuesday, the Reverend Hawks will try to get this marriage registered with the province of Ontario. At the Metropolitan Community Church, Morella Fernandez, City Pulse Tonight.
To watch today's.com, find the unedited video under the section titled In the Raw.
Sex couples were married in what they hope will be the first legal ceremony of its kind in Canada.
Hereby declare them to be lawfully married, joined together spouse to spouse, partners in life, in the name of the Creator and the Christ and the Holy Spirit.
While the church was packed with supporters, outside there was a small group that saw the wedding as the work of the devil. The demonstration was kept outside and there was no disruption of the service. The 2 men and 2 women who were married believe they have found a loophole in Ontario's Marriage Act, an old church ritual known as the reading of banns. Technically, the partners have received approval for their union and can be issued a marriage license. However, the Ontario government, citing federal laws that prohibit same-sex marriages, say it will not recognize the nuptials.
In a Toronto church in what they hope will become Canada's first legally recognized gay marriages. The couple say that they found a loophole in Ontario law to make their marriages legal. The Ontario government, however, refuses to recognize the unions. CTV's Scott Laurie reports.
To grieve with you in sorrow.
A double wedding, that's a challenge to Ontario's government.
To be my lawfully wedded spouse.
Kevin Bourassa and Joe Varnell.
In the name of the Creator and the Christ.
Elaine and Anne Vautour, Ontario's first same-sex newlyweds.
Now I want to, you know, go home and spend the rest of my life with the person I joined my life to today.
This is something that we had to do in our heart of hearts. This is equal rights and social justice for all people in Canada. I wouldn't have done it any other way.
Perfect. Outside the church, their ceremonies challengers. Hundreds of supporters gathered as the couples exchanged vows. The Ontario government vows it won't register these marriages, something this couple considers unfair.
It means that we're going to have to fight for our rights and seek protection in the courts rather than from our government. And we'll probably have to fight for a long time.
The other couple will come up.
Rather than get a marriage license, their minister used an ancient Christian tradition, the publication of banns of marriage. 3 weeks of announcing in church couples who want to marry. If no one objects, the law, without specifying gender, says the persons can marry.
If it's not registered, then we'll go to court. The church will take the province of Ontario to court.
This lawyer says the couples could have a good case.
They may say that under the Marriage Act you actually have an obligation to register our marriage because there's nothing in the Marriage Act that says you shouldn't.
These marriages are happening at the same time that BC wants to do the same thing, so it's challenging federal laws that it says prevent same-sex marriages. It's a case that's expected to go all the way to the Supreme Court.